Ois Gimel. V'hinei mevur l'maylo. Before it's explained that the Torah shebaksav, the Torah shebal peh, that the Torah shebiksav and the Torah shebal peh are called nikro choson v'kala. Like the choson is the mashpia, that's the one that gives, and the kala is the one, the recipient. She is the Torah Shebal Peh, just like the Torah Shebaksav gives to the Torah Shebal Peh. What's in the Torah Shebiksav comes down from the Torah Shebiksav into the Torah Shebal Peh. That's why the Torah Shebiksav is called the Chos, and Torah Shebal Peh is the Kala. The Kol Hanal, and all that we discussed before, Zehu Bechinas Kiddushin Ve'erusin. That is the level of Kiddushin, first betrothal, which is only a chitzonius, it's a makif, it's a tabas, it's a circle on the outside. That's Ve'erusin. Kemoishe Kiddushin heim rak nisinas tabas Kiddushin. Just like Kiddushin, as just that you're giving a ring of Kiddushin. That means there is not really that much over there. Al derech moshel, by way of example, shu davar muat, which is something small. It's a small item. Kach inyan hamshocha hanal mitoyre shebiksav. So is also this hamshocha from Torah shebiksav, shehirak haore ba'almo mimeno. It is only a small haore from the level of Torah shebiksav to the level of Torah shebal peh. Small, little bit, which is ma'at mayim mikadich, a little bit water of the jug, hanimshach leTorah shebal peh, which comes to the Torah shebal peh. So that is nikra kiddushin. That's what we call kiddushin. That's the first step. The little bit that comes from the Torah shebiksav to the Torah shebal peh, that's called kiddushin. Avo b'shmini atzeres, but in shmini atzeres she'ois im simchas Torah, which we make simchas Torah, hu b'chinas yichud she'achar hanesui. That is the level of yichud when they go into seclusion, just the chosin and the kala that follows the marriage. That's the higher level. Zehu she'omrim moirid hageshem. And that's why we say Moirid HaGeshem. Ashmini Atzeres Hamshochas Tipas Mad. That is the extending the seed of the Mad, the drop of the Mayim D'churim, of the masculine waters, Ukamayim Razal. As our sages tell us, Gabe Gishomim, they call it Mishayetze Choson Likras Skala. It's when the chosin comes out to the kala, meaning that the drips. The Gemara says it seems like a chosin. As Rashi explains there, that the water is gathered on the ground, and when there is a drop that falls, the bottom drop is sticks out towards. It goes towards, greets the other. That's the time when we say. So we see though that the idea of Geshem is the idea of Chosin, like going out to the Kala. Achoidem Yichud Zeh. But before we can have this Yichud, Tzorich Liyos Chuppah. Then there needs to be the canopy, the Chuppah. V'hu Aliyas Shneim, and that is both going up. The Torah Shebiksav, the Torah Shebal Peh. So both of them going up to the level of Seivim Kolalm. The Kamei, so the Chosin is the level of Chochmei Law. The Kala is Malchus. Before the Hashpoeh, from the Chosin to the Kala, both the Chosin and the Kala, the Torah Shebiksav and the Torah Shebal Peh, they're under the chuppah, they all go out to the level of Sevim, to the level of Sevim Kalam. The Kamei, once we're talking about Sevim Kalamim, before Sevim Kalamim, Chochma v'Asiya Shovim. Both Chochma and Asiya are equal, and therefore, later on, Chochma can be mashpia to Malchut. Ayin b'Zohar. Bereshis Daf Ches Amedala b'Pirush Haramas Shom b'Soida Chuppah. This is all the references to the Pirush of the Ramaz. V'ayin mashekosu b'Biur al posik ki al kol kvei tchum. Zehu ma she'onu omrim b'regolim v'hasienu. This is why we say on Yom Tov, we say hasienu, that's the loshon of nisuyin. That's the loshon of marriage. That is the Yom Tov is the time of the yichud of the marriage. Oz al yidei zeh yochel liyes achar kach yichud zeh shehu hamshocha pnimis mamish. I'm not sure. Maybe v'hasienu also means carry us up, like the chuppah, like we said before. Earlier in the Mamer, he did talk about the hasienu's loshon of marriage. But here he says through the hasienu, I guess through the elevation to the level of chuppah, so later there can be this yichud zeh shu hamshocha pnim is mamish. Then there is an inner bringing extension. And it's not just a shine, a ray alone, which takes place during the kiddushin. Then there is a pnimisdik connection, which is the nisuy. Boinya. Idea is ki b'chinas hayichud al derech moshu. By way of example, what is this level that we're talking about? The yichud hu hamshocho shel lemailo mibchinas neivlis shel chochma. This is a hamshocha that is higher than the neivlis, the leftover of chochma shel mailo. Ki im mibchinas chochma, chochma itself. Not the neivlis chochma shel maila, but chochma shel maila mamish, the actual chochma shel maila. Hainu matzmusa umahusa, from the essence and the chochma itself. That is what the level of yichud. Hine huer lemaila. Earlier he explained mashenikra neivlis, that the reason it's called neivlis. So in order of Chochma de Atzilus, which is called the Torah should be specifically from the level of the hidden level of Chochma, Hanikra Chochma Shalamaylo, which is called the Chochma of above. That's the Chochma Stimo. So in order to be that, that is a great jump. That is in a way of Cyrus and not from the essence of Chochma Stimo. That's what comes down through the level of Cyrus. Say, for example, by a person Haseichel legabe koyach haseichel hu yesh me'ayin. When we talk about the idea, the actual seichel, relative to the power that produces, that brings seichel, that seichel legabe koyach haseichel hu yesh me'ayin. That's yesh me'ayin. She ein etzem koyach haseichel Mizgal v'nimshach klal, the essence of the power of the seichel is not revealed, does not extend at all. B'bchinas haseichel hamizgale, in the seichel that is revealed. The seichel that is revealed to us, you don't have in that seichel the essence of the hamaskil, of the haskola. This is not the same as when we talk about the level of midos as they relate to seichel. The midos as they relate to seichel. So over there, the part of the seichel itself dresses up in the midos. It's not like seichel relative to midos. Shemahus haseichel mislabish ba'midas kinal. Over there, the essence of the seichel dressed up in the midas, like I said earlier, omnam havshochas. But on the other hand, hamshochas hatipa ma'av hanimshechas gamkim mehamoyach kinoida. The extension, the coming down of the seed of the father, which also comes from the moyach, as known. In the afal pi shehu gashmi is, although that is physical, mikol makoyim melubash bo mimahuz be'etzem koyach hamichin v'loy ha'orah ba'alma. In that seed comes down, even though notwithstanding the fact that it's physical, but over there you get the essence of the power of the mechin of the father, not the ha'orah ba'alma. And the proof is Shahare Yoilet Mimenu Vlad, the Seichel Umidas Sheyiya B'Dimyon Ha'av, because from that seed is born a child with intellect and emotions, which is similar to the father. So he has to have in that seed, there needs to be all the capabilities of the father in that, all the essence of the father. The Yeshboy Mehus Koyach HaSeichel Mamesh K'mei Ba'ab. In it is the essence of the power of the intellect, just like by the Father. V'loi Ha'ora Ba'almo. It's not just a ray alone, K'moi B'Gilui Haskola Protis, like in the revelation of a individual idea, which we say that's way distant, that's yesh me'ayin from the general seichel. But in the seichel, in the tipa, there is the essence of the ksoya, of the seichel of the Ab. Okay, mevuer be'geres hakodesh b'soifoi, that says that ve'oid zoy sharei hadibur v'atipa chulu v'adibur chulu v'atipa shnimshcha chulu ayin shom. So likewise, we'll also understand this mashul above the bechinas nevle shel chachma, of the level of nevle shel chachma. I know al derech mashul k'may gilui haseichel imokir haseichel. When we say nevle shel chachma shel ma'ilo, the leftover, that means what? I know al derech mashul k'may gilui haseichel imokir haseichel. That is as the revelation of the idea from the source of seichel. So what is the relationship? She'enei elahar. That is only a ray, a shine. Umizen nimshach b'teira shebiksav. And from that comes into teira shebiksav. V'achar kach ha'ora mizeh nimshach b'teira shebal peh. And a ray from that goes into the teira shebal peh canal. Nikro Kiddushin. That's called the Kiddushin. That is Hamshocho Mivchinas Chochmo Ilo, standing from the Chochmo Ilo Nikro Kodesh. That's called Kodesh. And Kamesha Kosuv, like the Pasuk says, but also Merivavais Kodesh. It comes from the Rivavais Kodesh. That is from the level of Chochmo Ilo, the way it comes down from the Noivlis Chochmo Shel Mailo into Seichel, into later on the Kiddushin, comes down in the level of Torah Shabbat Peh. Avo b'chinas yichud chosen v'kala. When we talk about the level of yichud chosen v'kala, hinei hatipa shoyre shorsho. That's this root of the root is mimakoir v'atzmi sachochma simo. That is from the source. And the essence of Chochma Simo, v'loi, b'chinas neifles levat. This is not just the level of Neiblos left over. That's the essence. That's Yichud. That's the Tipa. That's the essence of the Chochmah. So over there he says, "V'chein zeh hamoyach ilo da'arich ampin chulu, v'achar kach moichel archabi, v'achar kach loichim atipa aveim chulu ein shom." That's the discussion over there in the Eitz Chaim, discussing how the tipa is the essence. Hello, the chayda in a move. Ki von is not understood. Ki von the savus teirish biksa. Since the Teresh Viksav, which is Chosin, is only in the Neilus Choksamayla Imkain, Eich Shayich Loimar. So how could we say Shayichud Nimshach Mipnimis Chochmas Timor? How do we say that the Yichud comes from the inner Chochmas Timor? Right now we're saying that it's also still from the level of Neilus Chochmas. The idea is, this is the idea of chuppah. That needs to be before the yichud. That is the yichud of sev kolami, which is level higher than chokhmah. V'oz al yidei zeh nimshach gilui mipnimis. So you have, and then it'll come from to the Teresh, which is called a Choson, and then eventually also to the Teresh Shabbat. And for that reason, Higdimu, Kodmu, Zahimei Chag. So in other words, to get to that higher level, normally, we get from the Neivlis Chochmah Shel Maila. But how do we get the yichud of the essence of Chochmah Stima? By introducing first the chuppah, which is level of Keser, and then you can get from the Pnimius Moicha Stima in Teresh Biksav, which is Chosun, and then from there to Teresh Chag. That's why we have the 7 days of Sukkot that precede Shmini Atzeres. They are similar to the 7 days of the Mishnah that we do, the party that we do, the festive meals, and 7 days that follow the Chuppah. And then you have the coming down, being nimshach, drawn down, the lights of the makif and level of Sefer Kol. The gam halulav, and also the lulav and its kinds, the 4 kinds, who amshochas hadas. That brings down the level of das, because kikotten ein emoilid, a minor does not give birth, so you have to have the level of das. And the tipa comes from the level of mechin, from the level of das. The pasuk says, "Vayeda ha'adam," that he knew. So it is the level of the das. So you have to bring the minimum and the lulav to be mamshich, the level of das. So the person is not a cotton, and then he can have the yichud. Then there can be later on the yichud Shmini Atzeres. Shezehu hamshocha pnimis mamesh v'loi b'chinas nevlos levad. So when it comes to Shmini Atzeres, then we have an inner hamshocha and not just the level of nevlos. Okay. So that means that we're mamshich a tremendous level, a higher level, the level of the essence of the pnimius, not the neivlish, the chokhmah itself, which is more higher, and that comes through the 7 days of sukkahs that precede Shmini Atzeres, which is the time of the Yichud, and also with the Daled Minyan, which provide the level of Das, because the Kotten cannot give birth, only if he has Das. Das, Amshocha, comes through the Lulav. A Yeda Ha'odam, which means level of Das. That's why it is Simchas Torah. Why is it Torah? The Torah itself is happy from this revelation. Now that you have the revelation of the Chokhmah, the essence of Chokhmah Chastimo, so then the Torah itself is happy. Now, so this idea, we know how Shemini Atzeres we start saying Moirid Hageshem. Moirid Hageshem. Maschilin Loimar b'Shemini Atzeres. Shemini Atzeres we start saying Moirid Hageshem. What does that mean? Because that's talking about the tipa, the yichud, when it comes down, which is similar to rains in many different ways. Because the level of rain, the flow of the rain onto the earth, that is as the example of how the tipa comes down. Just like from the seed, there comes a child. Likewise, the rain quenches the earth, and the earth gives birth. It produces all the produce that come from the ground. That's through the rain. And another reason, the tipin, just as the rain extends drops. How does it come? They come down with force, with strength. From that comes that separation. And that's why he was also compared the fact that it's separated different drops. That's why the rain is also compared to here, like the verses kisiirim ale desha. Those are the raindrops on the desha, on the grass. They calls it siirim, teardrops. Shegenu gamkein sidus arosh, because this is also the hair of the head. Kol echad kuma b'fnei atzma. Each one has its own hole, its own nook, its own place where it grows from. Because the Gemara explains what Eve said, that they would be destroyed, the world, if they wouldn't exactly, each one comes from its own precise hole where it comes from. So therefore, the rain is also, each one is its own separate piece separate part that comes through Gvura. Even though this seed of the Mayim D'Churim, Hanal Nimshachas Mibchinas Pnimis Chochma Shalamaylo, we said this is not the Noiv, this is the live for Yichud, we have love of Pnimis. Shalamaylo Mibchinas Noivlos Visairos, which is higher than the level of Noivlos Visairos. Why are we all of a sudden saying that it's Geshem and that it's separated, tipping? This is supposed to be beyond the separation. This comes from the Chochmah itself, not from the Noivlis and Sidus. But Mikol Mokem Yet, in Nimsheches, V'yeredes Derech Mechinas HaSidus. It still goes through the level of Sidus. The mazel of V'noitzer V'nake, those are from the 13 attributes, is the Noitzer and Nake. Noitzer, the level of Rotzen. And the Naki, those are the Yud Gimel Tikuni Dikna over there. Raksha Shorsho Lamaila Mish It still has to go through the level of Sidus, but its root is higher than Ishtalshlus, Meshikosim and Mokamachar Aposit, Vanetzachu. Ayin Zoyar Chele Gimel, Nosei Kuf Lamedalet Aleph. Over there it says Bahai Mazlo Talia. They're hanging on the Mazl. That's the Cyrus. Bahai Mashikosim Haramaz, Parshas Boy, Daf Mem Seif Omed Beis, Shemazel V'Noitzer Chesed. That the Mazel of V'Noitzer Chesed, Ubetoichel Primius Ichulu. So you have the Noitzer Chesed and has the inner. They're also discussing that the higher of Ahim is a Mashakosim is a Bebiur Aposi. So it's Osishul. So that's other reason. The Oizois, and a further reason why do we compare this to the level of Mata to rain, the Kamoi Hagishamim Yerdim Bigvura, just as rain come down with force. Another thing we're saying, where is that Geshem? Why is that the Geshem? So he says that it's like a tippa that gives birth. It's like a tippa that it's separate. Now he says the other thing is that it comes down with force. Also the Amshocha of above, in which he says that you shrink it in fire. That brings about the Heikvurus, the separation of all the Amshochas, the Siders, Bechinas Gvura. That's the level of Gevura, in the level of Atik Yoimim, which is dressed up in Moiches Timo to make all this separation. And yet there's another reason. There's all reasons why it's called compared to Geshem. How does it take place? You have a aid that comes from the ground. That's when you have the steam comes up from the ground, the nasa of the honor, and then it becomes a cloud and an honor, a thicker cloud. Then the rain goes down on it. You need a thick cloud, so it starts off very thin, and then it becomes thick. Ayin Bereshis Rabo, Parshas Gimel, Ubesuka Daf Yud Beis Aleph Betoisus. Kach Yasrus od Letata VaTshuva, Serus od Tshuva Oy Lo Lemailo. It goes up higher, higher Chinas Yeshus Sisrei, to the level of Yoshech Sisrei. V'nimshach mishom liyes moedid hageshem amshachas hatipa. So this Arusa del Tata brings about all of these various levels, but here it goes up higher in order to bring down the tipa. Gam yesh loymar hamoshel meinyan ve'edyala ve'ifnachar. A little different, he says, the moshel from the idea of the aid that goes up, the steam that goes up. And al derech moshel shemitchila hoye eidim dakim ba'aid. First it was that. So in the first example, what he says is plain, not so much thin and thicker. I said before. Over there, just that you get the Sarusa de Leila through the Sarusa de Latata. But he says a little different. We can say that the beginning there is the Eidim Dakim Eid, and then they are more Megushim and becomes an Ava Onon Lohirid Matar to bring down rain. When came Havshichas Hatikva Nam Namoich Mizgashems. Also, that Tiba from the Moyach, it becomes more physicalized. For all these reasons, this Amshocha is called Merid HaGeshem.